周一，美国全国广播公司 NBC 播出了对普京的完整版专访，全长82分钟，是普京时隔3年再次接受美国媒体专访。在采访中，普京表示，俄美关系正处于近年来最低点，但仍有问题需要对表。采访中 ，NBC 记者还企图挑拨中俄关系，被普京当场揭穿。
在拜登和普京会面前夕，美国全国广播公司对普京进行了专访。长达82分钟的采访中，普京见招拆招，化解了 NBC 资深国际新闻记者凯尔·西蒙斯一个接一个带预设立场的问题，贡献了不少金句。面对西蒙斯关于俄罗斯是否干预美国大选的提问，普京表示，相关指控毫无根据，美俄关系不幸成为美国国内政治纷争的牺牲品。
We have been accused of all kinds of things, election interference, cyber attacks, and so on and so forth. And not one time did they bother to produce any kind of evidence or proof, just unfounded accusations. I'm surprised that we have not yet been accused of provoking the Black Lives Matter movement. That would have been a good line of attack.
2020年，由弗洛伊德之死引发的“黑人的命也是命”运动席卷全美。普京表示，美国国内的政治力量在竞选过程中利用了这场运动，但美国的种族歧视问题也不容忽视。
And in Russia, we have always treated with understanding the fight of African Americans for their rights. And there are certain roots to it. There is a certain foundation for this. But no matter how noble the goals that somebody is driven by, if it reaches certain extremes, if it spills over into extremism, acquires elements of extremism, we cannot approve this.
眼看普京反客为主，西蒙斯随即提到了俄罗斯人权问题，试图将战火重新转移到莫斯科。西蒙斯说，拜登将在与普京的会晤中提及正在服刑中的俄反对派领导人纳瓦利内。
Mr. President, why are you so threatened by opposition?
Who says that I feel threatened by opposition, or we're threatened by opposition? Who told you? Who told you that?
随后，西蒙斯又提到，俄罗斯政府将2家外媒列为外国代理人。普京表示，有关外国代理人的法律不是俄罗斯发明的，美国在上世纪30年代就通过了外国代理人登记法。普京说，美国这项法律比我们的严厉得多，它的目的就是防止外国对美国内政的干涉。
We passed this law only very recently in order to protect our society against outside interference. In some of the states in the U.S., if a foreign observer approaches a polling station, the prosecutor says, "Come a few feet closer and you'll go to jail." Is that normal? Is that democracy in the modern world? But that is an actual practice in some of the states. We don't have anything like that.
眼看又被普京掌握主动权，西蒙斯有些坐不住，急忙打断。就在普京还在说话时，西蒙斯插话称，普京是在兜圈子，没有回答他的问题，还说自己要直接问一个问题。
It is justified. Do you want me to answer? Would you like me to answer? Would you like me to keep answering?
We call what you're doing now whataboutism. What about this? What about that? It's a way of not answering the question. Let me ask you a direct question. Did you? Let me ask you.
I will look.
Let me ask.
I will look. No. Let me answer. You've asked me a question. You're not liking my answer, so you're interrupting me right away. This is inappropriate. Under that law, much harsher. If you muster some patience and let me finish saying what I mean to say, everything will be clear to you. But you're not liking my answer. You don't want my answer to be heard by your audience. That is the problem. You're shutting me down. Is that free expression, or is that free expression the American way?
Please answer.
最后，普京更是直言
We have a saying, don't be mad at the mirror if you're ugly. It has nothing to do with you personally. But if somebody blames us for something, what I say is, why don't you look at yourselves? You will see yourselves in the mirror, not us.
谈及即将与拜登的会面，普京在采访中表示，俄美关系正处于近年来的最低点，但仍有问题需要对表。普京说，俄美双方需要确定一些立场，以便更有效解决共同关心的问题，使其符合两国利益。
In fact, despite this seemingly harsh rhetoric, we did expect those suggestions because the U.S. domestic political agenda made it impossible for us to restore the relationship at an acceptable level. This meeting should have taken place at some point. So President Biden launched this initiative.
普京表示，俄方已准备好与美方围绕军控问题开展工作。
We've heard signals that the U.S. side would like to see these negotiations resumed at this expert level of professionals. We will see if the conditions for this have been created following the summit. Of course, we're not saying no. We are prepared to do this work.
在采访中，西蒙斯还试图挑拨中俄关系，被普京当场揭穿。
Do you think you get 100% support from China?
You know, we are neighboring countries. One does not choose one's neighbors. We are pleased with the level of our relationship, which, as I said, is unprecedentedly high, as it has evolved over the last few decades, and we cherish it, just like our Chinese friends cherish it, which we can see. Why are you trying to drag us into some kind of issues that you evaluate as you see fit for building your relationship with China? I will tell you completely honestly. Can I be completely honest?
Please, yeah.
We can see attempts at destroying the relationship between Russia and China. We can see that those attempts are being made in practical policies. And your questions, too, have to do with that. I have set forth my position for you.
普京表示，近年来，俄罗斯与中国建立了两国历史上从未达到过的战略伙伴关系，在所有方面高度信任与合作。在政治上、在经济上、在技术领域、在军事技术合作方面，普京指出，中国的发展有目共睹，而俄罗斯不会对此设防。
We do not believe that China is a threat to us. That's one. China is a friendly nation. It has not declared us an enemy, as the United States has done.
采访中，西蒙斯还试图继续在所谓新疆议题上带节奏，普京则以自己的亲身体会表达他的真实看法。
What do you think of China's treatment of the Uyghurs in Xinjiang?
I have met Uyghurs on my trips to China, and I assure you, at the very least, from what I heard with my own ears, that on the whole, they welcome the policies of the Chinese authorities in this area. They believe that China has done a great deal for people who live in this part of the country from the perspective of the economy, raising the cultural level, and so on and so forth.
采访快结束时，西蒙斯问了一个关于台湾的问题。
Let me ask you one more way, just to understand the relationship between China, Russia, and America. If the People's Liberation Army made a move on Taiwan, how would Russia respond to that?
Are you aware of China's plans to militarily solve the Taiwan problem? I don't know anything about that.
普京接着说：“我们经常说政治没有如果，虚拟语气在政治里是不合适的。政治的话语里没有可能或者想要。”
This is a question about nothing. This is not happening. Has China stated that it intends to solve the Taiwan problem militarily? It hasn't happened.
特别是说，普京也希望在这个俄美关系谈判的同时，给中国一种清晰的一种信号，就是说，无论俄罗斯和美国怎么谈，对中国的影响，就是中俄之间的关系是不会受影响的。
值得注意的是，访问中，普京对拜登的杀手说一笑置之，引起广泛关注。在采访播出的同一天，在比利时布鲁塞尔举行的北约峰会后的新闻发布会上，有外媒记者询问拜登是否还像之前一样认为普京是杀手。对于这个问题，拜登尴尬地笑了一下。在沉默数秒后回应称，这对我们即将举行的下次会晤而言是无关紧要的。
In a weekend interview, Vladimir Putin laughed at the suggestion that you had called him a killer. Is that still your belief, sir, that he is a killer?
I'm laughing too. They actually, well, look, I mean, he has made clear that the answer is, I believe he has in the past essentially acknowledged that he was, there are certain things that he would do or did do. But look, when I was asked that question on air, I answered it honestly.
拜登随后还改口评价普京是一个可敬的对手。
I have met with him. He's bright, he's tough, and I have found that he is as they say, when he used to play ball, a worthy adversary.
不过改口并不意味着拜登会改变对待俄罗斯的态度。拜登在新闻发布会上强调，会晤并非因为他对普京抱有某种信任。他还威胁称，如果俄方同意，美国可以在一些领域与俄罗斯进行合作；但如果普京选择不与美方合作，美国将就所谓的网络安全及其他问题做出以牙还牙的回应。拜登强调，在美俄存在分歧的地方，美国将会划定一条红线。
也可以看到，就是当回答这个问题的时候，拜登先生他也停顿了8秒钟啊。这个8秒钟时候，他肯定也在思考怎么样回答这个记者的这个问题，并且表示出这个无论是竞争的对手啊，还是杀手这样，其实这也是一种含糊其辞。我个人认为，他还是表达出来一种，就是说在会谈前既放了狠话，又放了软话，这种双重性。